So yeah, I just have to make another part. It's just impossible because it's a lot of things has to be said. So yeah, if American comes to Russia, he can be beaten up because I watched this video in one Russian train, right? There's American guy. And he started, like, oh, Russian, cool, matryoshka, babushka. Russian people look at him like, who this fucking retard? And then American guy did even worse. He went to Russian woman and smacked her in her ass. At first, and she looked at him like he was acting, she was like, what kind of retard he is. But once he slapped her in her ass, her husband felt offended. And of course, this American guy didn't know that the guy was her husband. Right? But the husband felt offended because he hits his wife in the ass, this American guy. And he didn't mean anything harmful, I guess, But what happened is the guy came to him and punched him right in the face. And what's all other Russian people were commenting about it? Oh, good job, let's beat these stupid Americans. That's how it is, And they didn't beat him up necessarily because he was American. They basically beat him up because of the way he was acting. And the way he was acting, that was not cool. Because you know what? You can't just go in the train and start flirting with women you don't know, hitting them in the ass, In Russia, you cannot do that. If you do that, you're gonna get punched in the face. That's just how it is. And me personally, I know how Americans are. So if American man will hit Russian woman in the ass, I will try to help him out. I say, look, dude, you don't act like that here. If I would be there, I would do that because I'm a nice guy and I'm. But generally, like other people who don't know anything, who never been outside of Russia, is gonna beat the hell out of you for acting that way. Right? These are examples, right? And then another thing, like a lot of Russians, and it was my impression too, but then, when I was at FedEx, I was talking to one American dude, right? And he said, I watched some Russian stuff, and Americans who traveling to Russia, Russian people were telling that Americans are fake. And guess what? I had the same impression. Like when I was working at my job, I was pissed off. I was complaining about people's behavior. And I told to one of the cooks, who's now a manager, that what? Americans are fake. And he said, you cannot say that. But I'm like, that was just my true impressions of Americans. Because of the way they act, I was perceiving them as very, very fake people. And I don't think that because they are bad, it's just the way the people were brought up, They just, you have to say everything nice, you have to be nice to people. Even if you don't like people, that's just how American people are raised. Now, Russian people, they're quite different. In Russia, you don't like somebody, you can tell, oh, you fag, fuck you, whatever, You can say anything and that's okay. It's just a little bit differently the way people are talking to everyone. And I said it a lot of times, American people just started like, trying to act Russian maybe with me, but they don't understand, These are the things, if you were not born and raised in certain place and you try to imitate other people, you just gonna look stupid, okay? Like, if I tell Americans how Russian people act, I can say certain things, but there are still a lot of nuances, which American people may not understand just because they never lived in Russia or they have no experience dealing with Russians. The same thing here. If I gonna start acting the same way as Americans act, I don't know, see, like, I'm just like, that's just like not my thing. And that's why, like, me and Dave, we could be good buddies, but we couldn't really be. Because, like, I had fun with him at some points. But then there is a certain thing, Like, for example, I started getting too friendly with him and I started acting like I wanna act. So I was coming close to him. And he's like, whoa, personal space. Well, like, oh, I'm sorry. Because, that's one of the things, like, It freaks Americans out, but in Russia we don't have bullshit as personal space. It's one of the things, right? In other things, you know, what he finds funny, I didn't, and vice versa. And then, you know, a lot of times he was trying to be friendly, like coming to me, like, you know, interact with his friends, whatever. I was just feeling annoyed. I didn't like it. And it's hard to explain why, but, you know, there is kind of repulsiveness. It's like, why are you acting so fucking weird? And another thing, like one of my Americans' buddies called guys were hitting me in the ass, just like they thought it was funny. I'm like, why are you doing that? Are you gay? Are you retard? Why are you doing that? Like, that's weird. You know, things like that, because to me it was kind of off-putting, like. But people were basically playing with me or joking to me, like. That's why, like, there are some guys who were initially friendly with me. I was kind of cold to them. But the reason why I was cold to them, because, you know, they were just acting weird, you know, in my eyes. So, see, like, that goes both ways, really. Like, Americans think that Russians are weird, but Russian thinks Americans are weird. So, if you're Russian in America, if you're Russian coming to America, the best tips I can give you, just, you know, just be polite, be nice to people, do your job, follow the rules, that's it. And stay away from people, because really, you're not gonna receive any understanding, any sympathy, because people are just not gonna understand you if you just came from Russia to America. They're not gonna spend any time of the day, because Americans are close-minded. They're not gonna understand you. It's gonna say that you're weird. And if you're American, and that's probably the most important thing, because, you know, most of the people who watch my videos are Americans. But if you're American and you're coming to Russia and you trying to, for example, act the same way to Russian girls as you acted to American girls, and American girls thought that was cool, guess what? Russian girls not gonna like you. They're gonna think you fucking retard. And if these girls have a boyfriend or husband, you're gonna get punched in the face for trying to flirt with this unknown Russian woman. And if you start saying matryoshka, babushka, or saying some bullshit ass words because, you know, you're trying to show the fascination with Russian culture, people not gonna understand you. They're gonna think like, okay, why are you acting like a retard? What's the point? Let's just hang out, have fun. Why are you acting that way, you know? I don't care about how many words in Russian you know. You're Russian American, let's hang out and have fun, whatever. But then, since Russians and Americans, they behave differently, interact differently, Russian people can offend Americans by being hard and rude. And that can be, you know, Americans, they can just like